Let's replay what on earth happened on Friday morning, because this poor man phoned me to have a chat about a bit of research, and I answered it live on air, and here's the result of it. We'll play it now. So we decided to bring him in to discuss this more, because I must admit, I made some good money on that on Friday. So thank you very much.
Well, I don't know if it's the biggest squeeze in history. That's sure. That's
in a day, not too bad.
9.8.
9.8% it finished.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
So look, credit where credit's due. It's an incredible video that was put out by my great friend Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley. I think it's available publicly, because I don't think that there are share recommendations attached to it. Mm-hmm. And you had to sort of piece it together a bit yourself. And
it's about 20 minutes long, isn't it?
It's a brilliant video. If you speak to people that run alpha capture systems, and if you pulled your own data, mm-hmm. more people will lose money on Tesla than any other stock.
100%.
Including myself, by the way.
Yeah,
in terms of, it's an impossible stock to get right, but it's what Adam did is, there are two stories. There are two Teslas. There's a short-term duration story, which is the car company.
Yeah.
And there's a long-term duration story, which Adam describes quite brilliantly, as he basically says that cars are to Tesla what books were to Amazon.
And so just to give an intro to this, right? The note is about embedded AI, and the rise of embedded AI in the auto sector. Simply put, embedded AI means building intelligence directly into the car itself. It allows it to make decisions in real time rather than going to the cloud servers. It's like giving the car its own brain instead of constantly needing to phone home or asking your mother for answers. This shift's crucial as vehicles evolve into mobile computing platforms with wheels.
Yeah, or flying mobile platform. I think if you spoke to Adam, I think if you look far down the line, I think he would probably say that he thinks that there'll be more cars up in the air, than driven by AI air traffic control, and AI makes air traffic control at scale much more plausible.
This takes us nicely into the slide that we have. So run us through what we have here.
Well, as I said, there's a short-term duration story and there's a long-term duration story. Space. I mean, Musk, although it's not, SpaceX is not a part of Tesla in terms of the satellites, mm-hmm. he already has the power to change the war in Ukraine by turning off the internet and turning on the internet. You own space, you own a lot of the communication that's taking place on the terrestrial planet Earth, right? He kind of owns space.
Yeah, and the internet, the new internet that he's putting around the globe.
Right, and there are a lot of interesting stock calls around incumbent broadband players and the impact that has. It's a very price competitive business, but whether it be British Telecom, Deutsche Telekom, any of the big US incumbents that are in broadband, be interesting to see how that plays out alone.
And another part of the video that really struck home to me was the importance of manufacturing. And it's the manufacturing of the cars, it's the manufacturing of the robots. But all that enables is the opportunity to get more data. So you go from the car to get data, which sends it back to, which improves the manufacturing process, which sends it to the robot, which then gets data and sends it back. The whole thing is just building up this incredible amount of data.
Well, I don't know, how much. I mean, obviously, reinforcing loops with AI is one thing. But listen, I mean, it's pretty simple, which is the data plus the robots, plus the batteries and the energy storage, plus the AI, plus the manufacturing, plus the satellites, is the long-term duration story.
Yeah.
Right? It's a story that really makes Tesla start to look like a defense company. Right? If you believe, because again, Adam's question was, what about drones, Elon? Mm-hmm. And Elon Musk turned around and said, well, America can't produce its own drones. I think it's possible that Tesla becomes a company that is of profound national security interests because of its manufacturing capability.
And he's in the right place at the moment for that to happen.
Well, it's how wars are being fought, right? And so whether Tesla starts to produce drones, I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll start to produce flying taxis at some stage. So that makes Joby Aviation quite an interesting company to take a look at as well.
That's JOBY, isn't it?
JOBY, and they're also backed by Toyota.
Right.
So like all these trends are in place, and of course it's a very difficult stock to trade because you've got the short-term duration story. But what I would say is this: I would say that sometimes, these are rare cases, a company is afforded a market cap of staggering proportion, and then uses that market cap to grow into the business that it should be.
Yes.
And sometimes it's the business it should be and then gets the market cap.
Yeah.
So if you look at that Amazon example, Amazon for 20 years didn't make money. For almost 2 decades, it had a market cap that was ridiculous compared to its profitability.
Yeah.
But people saw and understood the long-term strategic vision that Bezos had. So I think the key message in trading Tesla is, the same as Amazon, which is the long-term duration story, I think, will win out. Yeah. Right? I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but Tesla was still free cash flow positive on the bad numbers, which is kind of pretty remarkable. I mean, I think that the future for the car company is not great. And I think people fight that constant battle of the long-term duration story versus the short-term duration story. So I think what you need to do is you need to be kind of long Tesla in tiny size and be prepared to buy it on all of these pullbacks. Because the one thing you do see with Tesla, and you have seen it over a decade now, is short squeezes. The long-term duration story will squeeze the short-term duration story regularly. I think that there are price targets out there of 400 or 500. But again, these are Musk's words, not mine. He said, if we execute, we will be bigger than the 5 largest companies in the world put together. And a lot of my members of my investment club saying, like, you don't buy dreams, you buy fundamentals. And I'm like, actually, he dreamt about populating the world with electric cars. He dreamt about having charging points all over the world. He dreamt about landing a space rocket. I'm all right being long his dreams. Well, what I think of him personally and Doge and all of that stuff is not part of...
You've got to put that to the side anyway, don't you? I mean, that's not... It's an investment decision.
The short-term duration story says you can't put that to the side because people aren't going to buy his cars and they've been smashing them up.
True.
And that's why everybody's at war with themselves with Tesla, which is why it's such an interesting company.
Well, even there, in the 2 most recent research reports we see, we've got a price target of down 30% and one of up 43%. So it's really hard to get this one right. But
or it's really easy, which is you just buy it, hold it, and shut your eyes and take a 5-year view, which is, I suggest, if people are going to buy it, that's what they do. Yeah. Because that's what was right to do with Meta, that's what was right to do with Alphabet, that's what was right to do with Amazon.
And of course, this isn't just a Tesla story, is it? This also looks at Meta, it looks at Apple. Embedded AI isn't just a Tesla story, and it looks interesting. Google with Waymo. In fact, they finish with a large screen of 100 stocks that are involved in this.
Right, from Hexagon in Sweden to all over the place. There's that slide represents a constellation of companies that are associated with each box, and when I spoke to Adam, he said a really interesting thing. He said like Musk said he'll be as big as the 5 largest companies in the world put together, and he goes, yeah, but at that point the 5 largest companies could be $5 trillion each.
Okay.
Right, because the world would have moved on. So it's not like that it's the only opportunity on earth, but it's like with Meta, whose numbers I know that are this week. Google, all of these companies, these companies could, Amazon, they could be the first companies to have virtually no employees as well. So when you look at their bloated sort of cost base, right? You know, I think they could be national defense companies. They could be. I mean, you know, Tesla's not included in any defense ETF.
No, not yet.
But I'll be interested to come back in a year or two's time and see whether it is or not.
Even the robots, they did a projection of, they think you can lease one robot for $5, and that replaces 2 humans that are paid $25 each, right? So a huge uplift and a huge cost savings for companies. So Adam puts in a number and he says, right, let's say robots can replace 1% of the working population in the US, just 1%. That is worth $100 a share of the Tesla market cap.
Well, 80% of Tesla's market cap, I think, in his calculations, are related to businesses of the future, not the car company. So I don't know exactly what the percentage is. But again, you tend to think of robots as domestic servants that serve you coffee. I tend to think of it as a robot army and a drone army.
Whoa,
it's Terminator.
Yeah, it's real. It's
Terminator.
The Matrix.
Well, it is. It's just. If you look at that slide, you add those 6 things together. You've got flying drones. You've got a robot. You've got robots. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they'll become domesticated at some stage, but the prime, you know, and then you get this Luddite movement, which I wrote about for our club members. This Luddite movement where people start smashing the robots because the robots are starting to take their jobs, and then the robots are told to fight back, and that's kind of where it starts, right?
That is, and
that's where it all starts.
And we
used to smash up looms, right, because they took jobs in factories.
Amazon's already gone from 1 robot for every 5 members of staff is now 1 robot for every 2 members of staff. So it is happening, and it's worth getting on top of. I think this research report in particular is one of those ones that you know that it's a must read and it's a must watch.
It's a video.
We're moving to content. Isn't that interesting?
It's a video that anyone can understand.
Yeah, I think.
And there's one slide where you can just say that plus that plus that plus that is greater than the sum of any of the individual parts by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one, but I think you probably sort of have to own it in
some sense,
small way, as long as you're prepared to own it long term and ride out the volatility.
That's it.
And also, you know, say they lose 10 billion in a year. Well, the market cap today is 800 billion. So you could raise 10 or 20 billion with 1-2%, you know, a tiny amount of dilution can ride out the losses for the car company until you arrive at what he sees as the promised land. And there'll be violent objections to his vision.